Hello and welcome to Meet Me in Tennessee. I'm your host, Allie, and this podcast is sponsored by the Northeast Tennessee Tourism Association. You can find us online at northeasttennessee.org and on all social media. And I did want to give a shout out to our producers, Maypop Media. We're recording this episode in downtown Johnson City. Mitch and Marissa are wonderful for all your creating needs. And today we're sitting down with some great folks. Jared Collins and Garrett Ware with Motion Creative Media, based in Greeneville, Tennessee.
Yes. Yeah.
Greeneville. Can y'all share with our listeners a little bit about Motion Creative Media, what y'all do with the community, and your differing roles together?
Go ahead.
So a little bit of backstory about Motion Creative. Jared and I, we have been friends since childhood. I grew up across from his grandfather. Mm-hmm. We've known each other, gone to school together, played sports together. Through high school, I think Jared got into photography. Before I did, I didn't find photography or videography or anything until well after school.
Right.
Kind of had some years of separation there. We all go off to school, find careers, and noticed through really social media that we had both been doing similar things. I finally picked up a camera. He had been shooting for a while, and just through reconnecting, found out that we had this similar interest that was different from growing up. We were both athletic, and so we both had a new interest in photography, in video. Really, our formation came in a I'm going to call it a sporadic way.
Definitely an unforeseen way.
Yeah, definitely an unforeseen, sporadic
for sure.
way. Jared had been reached out to from a local country artist.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
I know
a
the
local country artist to shoot what he thought was a teaser for a sizzle reel.
Like
sizzle package.
the artist would then turn around and send to events and it's like, hey, this is a glimpse
sizzle
into
reel.
what, right?
Yeah.
Like,
That's a fun term.
I'd like to get on your schedule or whatever, however that works, but it was like an advertisement piece for him.
They reached out to you?
Yeah, they reached
To
out to
Jared.
me, which I hadn't done anything video-wise, so
Big
this
break.
was interesting. But a lot of people can associate just cameras in general with if you can take photos, you can probably take videos,
Yeah.
which is mostly true.
You can hold a camera.
The issue or what happened was I knew that I was going to need some help, and this is crazy for most listeners. They probably don't remember this, but back then, social media, your feed was who you followed.
Yeah, and it was chronological.
Crazy concept. I chose to follow this person and then see when they post. But
What a
also
concept.
see it when they post.
When albums were like a big deal.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like
Yeah, it's
I was friends
chronological.
with Facebook, I was friends on Facebook with Garrett and had started to see him post photos. So I reached out and was like, hey, I've got this cool thing that we can work on together if you would like to. And again, we thought we were creating like a 30-second piece. Come to find out, we get there really early that morning.
5
His
a.m.
manager.
Yep, 5 a.m.
Get a shot list. It was 5 pages. We ended up shooting a music video.
No
music video.
way.
Full-on
Like
music video.
10:30 that night.
Yeah, 16
still out
hours
there?
later.
Still out there in the cyberspace?
It's still out there.
Oh, it's
on
out
YouTube.
there. It's
Yeah.
not bad. And
on
I'm
YouTube.
still not like, obviously I look back at it and I'm like, okay, I would do a lot of things differently. But
Yes.
putting myself back in the mindset, I'm like, no, this is still a good piece.
Yeah,
So
the
that
one
was like your
first-
first like piece together.
That was our
Yep.
first piece together.
We then
That's
started doing weddings. And then COVID happened and weddings halted. So we pivoted to basically social media, content creation, because businesses at that point saw a need.
Yeah, and social media at that point in time took a shift. That's when algorithms started coming into play. So we started helping people with social media content, commercials, things like that.
Yeah.
Very cool. So y'all both grew up in Greeneville.
Born and raised.
Born and raised. What was it like growing up in kind of a rural area and starting a business, being in like that smaller, lots of space out there?
Yeah. Again, I can probably not give you great tips on what to do. More of like the opposite approach, like what not to do. Because like anything, when you start out, I think you make mistakes. But cool thing with a mistake is if you change your perception and you see it as an opportunity to learn,
Yeah.
it can be a good thing.
And it does.
I guess from a community perspective, were you able to or are you able to, because you're still doing the podcast and still doing the media, are you able to kind of utilize that small community, like who you know, and plant your roots and
I think
use that experience?
Yeah, I think one cool thing about growing up rural is, and I'm going to go all the way back even to childhood. Back in the day, growing up, the fun part of growing up in the county and in the area that we do is, with it being a smaller place, like people know who you are. There's not a lot of strangers in a small town. So anytime you start anything, you're going to hear about 17,000 different opinions on how you should do it, where you should do it, when you should do it,
Right.
when you shouldn't do it. So there's a lot of community involvement, and that starts in childhood. I know specifically the community that I grew up in, there would be, kids all the time camping together. We would go to Horse Creek together, which is, the national park here. So we're always doing things together. There's a lot of community support and a lot of, I guess, community activities that go on. And that's even like Ruitans and things like that, always holding dinners and churches doing things. There's a lot of tight-knit community feel in the area growing up. So that translates then into like starting a business, because when you do start a business in a smaller area, again, you get when to do it, how to do it, when not to do it. You get all these varying opinions, but at the end of the day, people know.
Right, you're
that
starting
you
a conversation.
Yeah.
Right, starting conversation.
People also are willing to help. And so that's like, I may not need your services, but when I come into contact with Susie down at the Food City, I can refer you, right? So that's that whole community thing of oh, Jared and Garrett do this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so there's support and then that sense of like togetherness.
Togetherness and word of mouth. And I don't know how it is in different areas of the country, but word of mouth in our area, especially for a small business, is so important.
Oh, that's the lifeline.
Absolutely.
That's like
the lifeline.
That's your walking review.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah, word of mouth here. And again, here in this area, it travels fast and it travels, good or bad. So you really have to make an impression.
Even on a larger standpoint, word of mouth, if you think from a tourism perspective, folks talking about their favorite coffee shop or their favorite restaurant, they're going to tell their family members, when you come to visit Tennessee, you have to go to this place.
Yes, absolutely.
So growing up in rural Greeneville, and we'll just delve a little more on that. How did you feel like there was an Appalachian sense of culture and values emitted in your upbringing that kind of transferred over to maybe adulthood into your business or I know you both have families.
Yeah, I think so. For me, the biggest thing, we both grew up very rural. I grew up in the Greystone community. He was in like the Horse Creek community,
right next to each other.
I love hearing those terms because, like, if you're not local, you don't know where Horse Creek is.
Right. No. Well, I could give you an even like less widely known Rock Batter.
Rock Batter.
I grew up in Rock Batter. You could say Camp Creek, and some people know that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say because of where we grew up, I was like interfaced with. I was exposed to people having to be creative with their problem solving. And so that could be as simple as like my lawnmower quit mowing.
Yeah.
So they had to figure out how to fix it.
Yes.
Because maybe they didn't have the means to get it into town. Maybe the shop was closed. Maybe they didn't have the money, whatever. So like ingenuity, which is kind of at the heart of like Appalachian people in general. They were always so resourceful.
So resourceful.
I got to see that on multiple different occasions. And so that's something that I guess I've carried through that I didn't realize until just now.
That's really cool. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Well, and even on aside from the ingenuity side of things, just something as simple as planting a garden. I know growing up, those are things that as a kid you hate doing, like you hate getting out in the garden and picking beans and stuff.
Stringing beans is the worst growing up.
Breaking and stringing.
I don't mind breaking and stringing. I hated picking them because it was always so freaking hot.
It was opposite for me.
Well, but the thing about a garden though is you learn so many life skills within a garden. You learn patience. You learn that there, is a science to things. And so those are things, again, that you bring into adulthood, you bring into business. And now me and my wife even, we plant a garden with our kids because I want them to understand those values. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Like those are like some genuine Appalachian core values right there.
Oh, for sure.
That can resonate hard. Yeah.
We've lived it.
Yeah, for sure. And you both emit such a passion for what you do. Like I'm still getting to know y'all, and I was fortunate to sit on the Faith and Frames podcast, which to our listeners you should definitely check out. We'll leave some resources.
Proceed with caution.
At the end.
Proceed with caution. I think you make our podcast better, but
But truly just enjoying it. Can you all share a story or a moment of a time when you felt like your passion became purpose?
Okay, so yeah, I'd probably have to go with either our work with Tennessee Kids Belong.
That was a great episode, by the
Isaiah
way.
House.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed that.
Aisha
Did
is
some
a
work with the
wonderful
Isaiah
person.
House as well.
Yeah.
And when your passion, your skill gets to align with something that you're also passionate about, like specifically with video, one of the best things with video is that it can be, it can shed light on a subject, right? No different than documentaries. I mean, that's just the thing. Like, this is something I didn't know anything about. Now that I've watched this video, I feel attached to it, type thing.
Power of awareness.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just shining a
So
light.
I'd probably have to say this last year when we worked with the Isaiah House and that Spartan race in Greeneville, we got to interview a few of the staff members and the volunteers, and just to hear their why, as to why, you know, they do it, and then get to capture that, and then get to put it into a finished video form that other people could then be exposed to and be aware of. It was like, that'd probably be the one I would give.
Yeah,
That's pretty
I can agree with that. And two, I mean, running a small business, it's tough. You know, it's a tough endeavor, probably one of the hardest things that anybody will ever do in their life. And you have those days where you are asking yourself, why am I continuing to do this? So then you do get to do one of those projects where, yes, it truly aligns with your outside love for people and for stories. And it does it. It makes it worth it. It makes it, you know, it gives you the ability to continue. Yeah.
For sure. That totally resonates. Appreciate what y'all do so much because
Thank you.
Kind of one of the purposes of this episode is kind of to unite that form of community and tourism. We have locals and we have visitors, and there's just this bridge between all things. We're all people.
Right.
And I think it's so important when we share these Appalachian values and this culture, and we act as stewards of these lands that I think when people come to visit, they can feel that.
Yeah.
I think to speak to that, like, and it's bad that it has to happen, but when natural disasters occur, like take the tornado that happened in Rock Batter Camp
2011.
several years ago, right? For the next month, people who had or thought they were different, whatever,
Coming together.
and that's kind of the South, anyways, right? Like if you're broke down on the side of the road, someone's going to help you,
gonna help
right?
you.
Oh yeah.
But
Even if
that's-
you don't want them to.
even if you don't want them to, but like
I've been there, and I'm so thankful.
that
I'm
sense
so
of
stubborn.
community that happened, you know, in the days following that. Again, people who you might have just argued very passionately with the day before.
They're bringing their trailer to help haul your barn
Now
off
their
that just
differences
fell.
are set aside because at the
It's
end
in
of the
our
day,
blood.
we're people. And, you know, we've got to help other people.
Yeah, and it's like 6 months later, we may start arguing again, but today, I'm helping you.
Yeah.
And we're helping each other.
Yeah.
I have to share a quick story on that thought because we are all people, and if you're traveling to this area, folks are so friendly and helpful. Everyone's waving to everybody. And I was taking my daughter to school one day, and I got a flat tire.
Yep.
And my dad taught me how to change a tire when I was like 5 or something like that. And so I got out of the car, and sure enough, I didn't have some tool that I needed that he told me to always keep with me. I don't remember what it was. And a person, very friendly stranger, stopped, and I was so stubborn and independent because I'm also Appalachian. And
Didn't need help, did you?
I didn't need any help. And he's like, why don't you just let me do this real quick? I've got the tool. And I was like, okay, after the convincing. And just so thankful to have that in the community.
It was probably that little star lock key that a lot of lug nuts have, if I were guessing.
Yeah, it could have
could've
been any
been.
number of things. But I mean, that just speaks to the fact that someone was willing to take time out of their day. I'm sure that person had somewhere to go.
Oh, yeah.
Something to do.
On the way to work or something.
But that's just
we
how
are.
it works, and that's how a lot of the people in this area are.
And those little moments, just like,
Yeah.
Yeah, those are like
Happy to
little
be alive.
sparks. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, there is hope for humanity.
yes,
I think
exactly.
that's probably got to be weird. I've never been on the outside looking in, but like if you are visiting,
Yeah.
you know, because
Yeah.
in cities, coffee shops, whatever, like everybody's minding their own business, they're in line, whatever.
Tunnel vision.
Probably not going to have small talk. Well, here we're going to
Right.
force you to.
Well, and two, if you're a city and bustle, we're so rural. There's so much like space between. If you break down and have a flat tire or something,
Oh yeah, that's
it's nice
true.
to have somebody
Yeah,
go
it
down
is
the
nice.
road and like.
Absolutely.
It is nice.
So switching it up a little bit, back to Greeneville,
Mm-hmm.
and all of its awesome, amazing things to offer: history, agriculture, the outdoors, some new restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
What makes this area so special to locals and visitors from all around? Any new foodie joints that y'all know about or things like that?
If you come for lunch, I can give you a plethora.
Yeah.
A plethora of great, we'll call them holes in the walls, right?
Yeah,
Great
it's
food.
the best.
And that's where I like to go. Like I used to travel a lot for work in a previous job. And when I would show up somewhere, I would always ask, like, where do I need to go? Don't give me a chain. I need a chain back home. You know, like I want to eat something
Yeah.
local to here.
For sure.
And so, yeah, there are tons for lunch. You've got the Bean Barn. The Tannery's always great. The Butcher's Block's actually open for supper.
Yep.
And well, supper, is it dinner? I'm a
I
supper
always say
guy.
supper.
I'm a
These
supper
are all
guy.
new places that I have to try.
Yeah, so those are all really good.
I have two that are on like both ends of the spectrum.
Okay.
If we're talking just staples, one that's very well established, been in Greeneville forever, I'm going to shout out Michelle and the crew down at Tipton's.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Tipton's is
Tipton's
one of my
Cafe.
favorites of all time from early childhood on. As far as new, because we do have a lot of new entities coming in, a new place that I know is very popular, I love their food, is Rock City.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, Rock City's a tap house, and then outside they have a food truck where Jimmy, the cook, will serve you some of the best wings and poutine that you've ever had in your life.
Poutine. And that's like an up north thing,
That's
isn't
Canadian.
Canadian, yeah.
Very
it?
Canadian.
We have it now right here in Greeneville.
We
Y'all
have
heard it right
Greeneville,
here on the
Tennessee.
podcast.
Jimmy and the crew down at Rock City.
Cool. What about any coffee shops? Because I'm like a coffee shop
Oh
freak.
my gosh.
We have those two.
Yeah, so I would definitely say Creamy Cup. It's a drive-through in downtown Tuscaloosa,
Cup's
right
good.
across from the Whistle Stop, which is also a great supper joint.
You said downtown Tuscaloosa.
Well, I mean, like, okay,
Sorry, if you know Tuscaloosa.
it is
it's
a
all
big drag in
downtown.
Tuscaloosa. It is a 25-mile-an-hour
That's funny.
street.
That's great.
Right next to Tuscaloosa University.
Yeah, Tuscaloosa
no longer
University.
College. But
Very
yeah, so
historic college out there.
absolutely. I think it may be
1794, I think.
It's a beautiful campus just to go walk around.
It
on.
is.
Yeah.
It's pretty.
If you're into that kind of thing.
So like the Creamy Cup is a drive-through coffee operation. Great joint. Dillinger's downtown is
Dillinger's.
really good. Catalyst
Catalyst is
downtown's
popular.
good.
Whoa, I need to get back to Greeneville. Always.
Yeah.
Y'all got so much out there.
We do. We have a lot, and it's cool because we're continually getting more. We're doing a revamp of downtown and Depot Street, so we're actually getting some new restaurants downtown that are not chains, which is fun for us.
Yep.
Yeah.
We like those holes in the wall, and we like the small business owners.
Right.
What about, let's see, history? Can you tell our listeners about some of the amazing history in and around Greeneville?
Well, so I guess the biggest claim to fame is probably on our interstate sign.
Yeah.
Andrew
Andrew
Johnson,
Johnson.
17th president.
Yeah.
I
Don't fact check
whisper
us.
because
was born and raised in Greeneville,
Do
so
not
you can
fact
tour
check
his
us.
home place. There really are tons of historical landmarks and stuff there.
Austin Tobacco Company was there. Pet Milk.
it's so historic. You can just feel it like driving downtown.
So
General Morgan Inn,
General Morgan.
General Morgan Inn. I just took a photo
Friendly's Restaurant.
of the Dixon Williams Mansion, which is
Yes.
right behind the General Morgan Inn downtown. It is now just a historical site. It's not an active residency of any sort. It used to be the Greeneville Hospital, but General Morgan himself died while staying in that hospital.
No way.
Built in 1821, I think you said.
Yeah, completed in 1821. Beautiful, beautiful building.
Well, and even more recent history, if we talk about just, I'm going to say global impact, Greeneville was the home for Magnavox.
Really?
And Magnavox and the Morgan even have a tie to each other because the original crew that came to scout locations for the Magnavox plant, they were on their way to Hot Springs, North Carolina. No way. Ended up staying at the Morgan. Through conversation, were convinced to bring Magnavox to Greeneville instead of Hot Springs.
That's
See
such a
where
nice-
Hot Springs is right now, and I love Hot Springs. But
love
just
Hot
imagine
Yeah.
had Magnavox decided to plant roots there because that was the goal.
Yeah, and what era was this? I'm trying to think.
This
like,
was early 1900s, I
I mean,
believe.
this was was this dirt roads and things?
I mean, there were still certainly.
This was still early 1900s.
They traveled via train. I do remember that via the story.
Maybe late 1800s.
Ended up having to stay over in Greeneville the night, and I guess through contacts and whatnot, ended up with a dinner.
Probably some flirting. Who knows?
Who knows? But anyway, the question essentially got posed of why not Greeneville?
Yeah, why not Greeneville?
And literally Magnavox, the great voice out of Napa, California, up in Indiana,
Greeneville, Tennessee.
made a very big impact.
Is there like a tribute to that in the museum?
Yeah, there is.
I feel like I've seen
There's
it.
an
Yeah.
entire society now, actually,
Yeah.
the
Okay.
Magnavox
They have a
Preservation
preservation.
Society.
Cool.
Yes.
Yeah, so to our listeners, there is what is the correct term for the museum?
The Nathaniel Green Museum, I believe it still is.
And that's near the City Garage Car Museum.
It is.
also.
Correct.
So,
It's
yeah.
Andrew Johnson. It's old Andrew Johnson School, I believe, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah.
So
The
much.
Magnavox at
Gym
the
is-
height of its production employed just north of 5,000 employees
in Greeneville.
in Greeneville.
Both of our families worked there.
Did they really?
Yeah.
So that's how you know all this fun,
Oh, yeah.
fun facts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Very cool.
We have the merch.
But you got some ballin' sweatshirts.
Sweatshirts, hats,
Got
and
neon,
then
like-
I have, my father has an original Odyssey, a Magnavox Odyssey, which is a gaming system.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And along with all this other fun stuff to do in Greeneville, surrounded by the outdoors.
Oh, yeah.
The Appalachian Trail is nearby.
Yes.
So Northeast Tennessee Tourism recently released the Tennessee Night Sky Trail featuring 9 unique areas to view the night sky in our region. 8 of those being wheelchair accessible.
Very cool.
So Viking Mountain is on that list.
Hey.
Okay. Yeah.
Its name originating from the former 1960 ski resort sitting below the summit.
You can still see some of the foundations
can.
of the chalets up there.
Yep.
I was
But
going
that's
to
all that
ask
remains.
because I haven't personally been. Can y'all talk about that?
I think
area?
geographically, I believe it's the Camp Creek Balds.
Yeah,
Technically, it's
it
like
is.
official title, but yeah, Viking Mountain had aspirations
To be a resort.
to be a ski resort. They actually constructed it.
Yep.
They had a few runs, all these things. From what I understand, the limitation was the access road.
Yeah.
Used to be almost impassable.
Yeah.
It's now really good. Like you can take a 2-wheel drive car
Yep.
up
Really?
there. Yeah.
I was curious about that.
Yeah, they've
it's
managed it
usually
well.
really good and well maintained now, but that wasn't the case. And so that was kind of the downfall as to why it didn't succeed and make it as an actual resort entity.
Yeah. You
We
can
also
still
used
see
to
it.
get more snow then.
Yeah,
We
you can
used
still
to
see
get
the
more
foundations.
snow.
I miss snow.
Because
I so miss
the thought of having a ski resort right there really excites me. If we had
my
the
gosh,
cold
yes.
weather,
Yes.
On the plus side, we have very reasonable seasons all year long.
We
I
get
do
it.
wish we had more snow.
I do too. And my kids certainly wish we had more snow. But I do. We get a very even dose in most cases of all 4.
Pretty mild.
And that's
Yep.
probably one of my favorite things about the area.
So that area is at Viking Mountain, pretty accessible. Like it's a
Yeah.
lots
very
of fun
accessible.
outdoor things, hiking,
Very accessible.
mountain biking.
It is. It's really cool. Great views.
Have
usually
you
pretty
actually?
chilly.
It's pretty cold.
Yeah, even in the summer,
cold.
like probably gonna need a light jacket.
Okay.
Because there's always a good cool breeze. Kind of like
like
Carver's
Carver's
Gap.
Okay.
Similar in that regard.
Have y'all seen the night sky out there?
No,
No.
I haven't actually.
you
I've
should
not
check
been.
it out.
I've not been up to Viking probably since high school when we used to have to go run there for basketball and other
That sounds
sports.
fun.
We
It
had to go
wasn't.
run up the mountain. No, it was miserable.
It was
as a high
training,
schooler,
it
you hate
wasn't
it.
Fun. Yeah, 'cause, it's not enjoyable.
Running for a hobby. Woo.
No, thank you.
Not my thing.
So either one of you can go first on this.
Uh-oh.
If you could convince someone to visit Greeneville in one sentence, what would it be?
Ooh.
Someone who's never been. Take your time if you need to.
I've got it.
Go ahead.
You are not a stranger.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's so precious.
I agree with that. I would agree with that. Yeah. Trying to think of like what time of year they're coming. So like, because a lot of those dictate what I would recommend. I would also. This one's.
One sentence. You got one.
He's putting
All right.
you
Well,
on the
this one.
spot.
This one's very. It's
got
a
one
cop-
shot.
This is a cop out, okay? But I'm gonna say go to Little Top.
Okay. Yeah. Go to Little
It's a
Top.
restaurant.
Okay, little
Not a
top.
mountaintop. It's a restaurant.
Okay, so y'all heard it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
If you like chipped ham and cheese.
Yeah.
Listen, here's the thing. I love Pals. I truly love Pals. But if you ever let a chip burger, which is the chip ham and cheese at Little Top, touch your lips and your tongue, you'll probably not eat the ham and cheese at Pal's again.
What?
Oh man, is it
That was
good.
dang near seductive.
That sounds dangerous.
Oh man, is it good.
Yeah,
And the milkshakes.
I'm hungry.
I'm actually hungry
I
too.
do love Pals,
Yeah, I do
we
too.
love Pal's.
but this is like a
It's a staple.
I don't eat their I don't eat their ham and cheese though. But just simply
Because of
because like if
Little
I
Top.
want a ham and cheese, like I'm going to Little Top.
Yeah.
So good. So good.
cool. Those are great. And we kind of touched a little bit about this earlier, but I wanted to circle back to how we often bounce back and forth between appealing to locals and visitors,
Yeah.
the community and the visitor element to Northeast Tennessee. So how do you all, I guess, from a personal perspective or from a business perspective, act as stewards of the community to help bridge those gaps between locals and visitors?
Well, I guess the most immediate way we've worked with the Greene County Partnership on some projects.
I'm so glad you mentioned Greene County Partnership.
Using our medium,
Yeah,
right,
using
the
our
photo
skills.
and video, for pieces that are more public facing to be an attractant and those sorts of things. So yeah, I would say that.
I would say even in day-to-day interaction, though, in person, I'm very big on in-person interaction, and for me, it's meeting people out and about who I do figure out where they're from. I do listen to their stories, and I'm able to help bridge the gap between them and maybe some of our older demographic,
Yeah.
who are a little more set, a little more set in their ways, because we
Yeah.
are as Appalachians, we do get set in our ways. So we're able to listen to all the stories and kind of bridge the gap for folks.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
So maybe from like a generational perspective.
Yeah, from
Oh, true.
generational standpoint.
Yeah, that's it.
I like that.
So
We-
that's a big thing right now in our area. I would
Yeah.
say is like it does feel as though they're essentially
Two different generations.
two different generations and very
Yeah.
little middle at this
Yeah.
point. So
I would consider
we're now
myself
that middle at this
Yeah.
point. So
we
like we've
are
got
the
to
middle.
bridge.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Epiphany. That's huge.
Yeah.
We're totally the middle. And
We
you
have
the
to
pull
be.
from both ends.
Yeah.
We have to be. I understand,
We're the
the old
peacekeepers
fogies.
of the
Yeah.
Bingo.
Yeah.
I understand the old
Just got
fogies.
chills.
I understand the newbies, and so we have to help those people communicate
Yep.
Yeah, that's spot
in order
on.
for things to get done, or in order for things to get done.
Yeah. For growth and progress and anything to success really to move
Yeah.
forward.
And also for preservation.
Yeah.
It takes both.
Appalachian peacekeepers. I'm stuck on that right now.
That sounds like a band name.
It does.
So,
Yeah.
Are we
Well-
a duo now?
I don't know about all that.
Did we just become best friends?
Yup.
That's so cool. And to our listeners, I did just want to mention the Greene County Partnership is a great resource
Yeah.
if you're traveling to the area to
Yes.
stop and get brochures, recommendations on things to do.
They have all the pamphlets you could ever want or need.
Yep. And some great folks in there to
Oh yeah.
to say hello to.
So Greeneville is like, if I had to describe Greeneville to someone, and this is what I always told people because I had to when I was traveling, they'd say, where are you from? I'm like, Greeneville, Tennessee. And they're like, what? And I'm like, okay, so we're like an hour northeast of Knoxville.
That's always the go.
You know,
Balls.
Try explaining
we're like an
Bubble
hour away from Asheville, North
Yeah.
Carolina,
Yeah.
because most people have heard of Biltmore at least, right?
Yep.
And then I was like, okay, so but we're like an hour from Bristol, so you've heard of NASCAR.
That's Bristol, baby.
And the country music. Well, most people don't know that
I
that's
don't
the
know if I can
birthplace of
show y'all
country
this,
music.
but I eventually just got this tattoo when people asked, and then I can just tell them it's the state of Tennessee. It's got the heart. Because it was always the hour from Knoxville.
Well, but what I would say is like Greeneville is
That's
such
a pretty good
good
directional tool there.
center location though, like to get to places.
Yep.
You can get to places really, really
Yes.
easily.
Very
And
centralized.
like
Tons of
Jared
outdoor
said, you're
activities.
close to Asheville. There's
Yeah.
some back roads that go to Asheville, Hot Springs.
Oh my
Beautiful
gosh.
back roads.
Yes.
So you-
Beautiful.
You have all the bigger metropolitan areas, but then the small
You get to
town
spiral
comforts.
up the mountain.
It's slower. Our pace of life here is slower.
For sure.
So I would say if you're coming to visit or whatever, don't anticipate speed.
Yeah, don't expect to change the world in 6 days
Yeah.
or 6 years for that matter.
Just I would say enjoy that slowness.
Yeah. Come here, unplug, recharge.
Yeah,
It's
unwind a little
Yes,
bit.
very much
definitely
so.
a slower pace.
Slow
Yes,
can be
so.
fun.
Yeah.
Slow can be fun.
We still
yeah.
have dead zones from a cell phone perspective.
We do.
So like
Thank
that's
goodness
probably
someone-
foreign to a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of cash only places.
A lot of cash only
Mm-hmm.
places. Yeah, I mean there are just it is a slower, and that's one of the reasons why I love it. And like I love raising
Absolutely.
my children here.
Yes.
These are things that I forget to be grateful for, like the cash only and the,
Yeah, and
the no
day-to-day with
service in certain areas.
Yeah.
Because when you're in that like bustle mindset, you're like, man, my phone's not working. But it's like, whew, thank goodness, this is a time to like breathe.
Well, so we ate at a restaurant a local restaurant, and on their board as you walked in, it said, "We don't have Wi-Fi. Talk to the people at your table like it's 1955." I was like, how funny is that?
Yeah, that's cool.
Like, don't ask for the Wi-Fi password. We don't have it.
Yeah.
You know, actually talk to
Talk to somebody.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And for those tech lovers out there, we're not totally off the grid. You still have areas that, you know, have hub gatherings. We have all these new like co-working spaces, which I think are so cool.
Yep.
So you kind of have the best of both worlds, but we are a slower pace here, and we're proud of that, I think. So
I like that.
Agreed.
And jumping back in a little bit to Motion Creative Media, can y'all talk a little bit about these various groups you work with from the community, like the Tennessee Kids Belong and the construction, all these differing groups, but you kind of bring them together for the purpose of creating, which I think is cool.
Yeah. Got anything?
Well, so as far as bringing the groups together through what we do, I think the common denominator, whether you are a nonprofit organization, whether you are a construction company, we work in the fitness industry with what we do, the common denominator is nowadays, and this just goes back to people being plugged in and in tune, with media specifically, you are able to harbor an audience that is outside of your immediate reach. And so again, whether you're a construction entity wanting to expand, well, the best way to expand is to get recognition. That's done the easiest and fastest through media. If you're a nonprofit organization like the Tennessee Kids Belong or like the Isaiah House, who are trying to spread the message for these kids who so desperately need a family, the fastest, most efficient way and the largest net that you can cast is with what we do, with photo and video. So I think the common denominator and what we do to bring those people together is we are, again, that in-between.
Sure. And you're storytelling.
Yeah, we're storytelling. We're the bridge, because they have an audience on this side of the bank. They're on the other side of the bank, and we have to put that story in the middle so that they can connect and be together.
Right.
Absolutely. I really appreciate what y'all do. And I think like when you're telling these stories of the community, like I just really, that Tennessee Kids Belong episode, that was so heartfelt and it was genuine. And I listened to that start to finish and just truly enjoyed it.
That company wrecks me because of just, again, I'm not an emotional person, but that is a mission that absolutely tears me up every time we talk with them.
And if that's not your daily work and you're not connected in that, you don't know.
You don't
Right.
know.
I learned so much about that.
Yeah.
Right. But see, that's why like we're so passionate about, you know, helping them with our medium. Is because like we know that that's a potential end result for somebody.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're actually working with them
This month.
this month.
They have another
They've got
Belong
another I Belong Day.
Yep.
Actually at Bristol Motor Speedway.
Bristol Motor Speedway.
That's
Speaking of NASCAR,
Yeah, no, that's great.
so
That's great.
yeah, we get to do that again.
Kyle Busch, if you're listening, bring your car out, take them around the track.
Yeah, kids loved it.
Yeah, for real. Moment for Dell, but I got to throw that in there. So also the construction, just one more thing I want to throw in on there, because I've watched some of y'all's videos, checking out your website and stuff. I think it's so cool to see the behind the scenes of what goes on in our communities.
Yep.
Like, I'm obviously very passionate about Appalachia and what we do.
Yeah.
But for someone visiting, because I'm always trying to bridge that gap again, the theme, bridging the gap between tourists and locals. If they can see the behind the perspective like we can, it's like they're like, oh, the downtowns are getting revitalized, or I think
Roads
that
are getting
sparks
remodeled.
interest for travelers.
Yes.
So
Yeah, I think one of the downfalls to social media and everything in our lives being so flippin' instantaneous now. It is like you
Readily available.
you flip the light switch, the light comes on. Like you twist the faucet, water comes out. Right? It's like everything is so instant. It almost frustrates human beings now. We're to the point of like with construction specifically, right? Like a downtown revitalization.
Yeah.
That can't happen overnight, people.
No.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Takes
just like
years.
one of the, and so one of the things that we like to do with construction is let people in on some of those tidbits. It's like, okay, well, the reason why this took so long is because this was a hand-drawn schematic that
On a
showed all of
napkin.
the infrastructure. It wasn't accurate.
Right.
And so like, yeah, you're able to shed, people don't know what they don't know.
Right.
And so we get the opportunity to help
We put them in the loop.
educate people.
Yeah, we put them in the
essentially.
loop.
It's like, okay, look, this is why you see it this way, right? You know, it has to take this place. There's an order of operation, and
Sure.
so
You're using the company to tell their story. Otherwise, if you're just looking at a construction site,
you're pissed. I mean,
you're
they're taking up
upset.
time.
right?
Now
it's
I've got a
blocking
detour.
the road. Or,
Absolutely.
Yep.
But to see the story behind it, like it's beautiful, and there is quality over quantity in the progress and the process.
Yeah.
Same with creating.
Yeah.
you know,
Well, and
so
two,
much to be
and
said.
Jared's been hitting on this really nicely, in my opinion, lately with our social media. There are also humans behind that construction company. These are real people using their skills, using their abilities, and he's making a big effort to humanize the construction industry, because they're real faces, they're real people with real families, and they're just trying to help better the community too. With their tools.
That sounds like a great campaign, humanizing construction. Like,
it's
really.
so easy.
Oh, he's
literally.
single-handedly harboring it in.
It's so easy to drive by like a big construction site and you see a bunch of yellow iron moving around, dust flying. You might see some safety vests and some hard hats, but like it's so easy to forget. Like, that is a dad. That is a mother. You know what I'm saying? Like that is That is a person. This is what they have chosen to do to provide. And or it's so easy to get frustrated because you're behind a slow dump truck.
It's so easy to get frustrated when you're driving and there's detours and things.
Yep.
Yeah, this is even like helping me be like, man, I should be more aware. For real. Like,
well, it's just, you know, approaching the situation with a little grace. You know, this is the way it has the happen. And
it's also a vital part of the community.
It is.
Progress.
It's the building blocks to the
infrastructure,
economic development,
Yep.
and the infrastructure. Yes. That's awesome. So here in a minute, we're going to get a little more personal. But first, I did just want to see if there's anything that y'all wanted to share, any projects you're currently working on with Motion Creative Media. You mentioned that Tennessee Kids Belong at Bristol Motor Speedway.
Yeah.
Any other projects you want to share? And we'll also do a plug at the end where you can share your website and things like that.
I think our biggest project coming up is with Tennessee Kids Belong. That's one that we pretty heavily anticipate. We love the mission, love the people, love the kids, and want to see them have a positive outcome from what we do. To me, that's our biggest.
Oh yeah, I would say so.
In the works right now, minus what we do monthly for our clients. But yeah, that's the most anticipated event of this month, and I would say of this quarter.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Where can folks learn more about Tennessee Kids Belong?
So we can put the link like in the show notes and stuff.
Awesome.
But because I don't want to give you the incorrect URL.
Right.
Sure.
You can probably just Google Tennessee Kids Belong.
You can Google it.
And you'll get there. But like Tennessee Kids Belong specifically, they work in the foster space and the adoption space. And what we do with these I Belong projects is we get the opportunity for some of the more difficult cases to place. They're typically older, older in the system. We get a chance to help them tell their story through video, and that lives on their website. You can go watch tons of them right now on Tennessee Kids Belong website. It's literally
videos that y'all have helped create.
We've not helped. We've helped with some of them, but like they do
round.
this across the state. You got to remember, it's like 9 hours to drive tip to tip in Tennessee, right? So it's very wide.
Yeah. The reason it's in Bristol this month, though, on that note, is because they are focusing on Sullivan County kids.
Okay.
With this one this month.
But
the last one we did was
gets
Morristown.
to tell their story, and so they get their own individual video on their website that people can then watch, and
it's their plea.
It's essentially their plea for adoption at that point. They're very powerful.
It'll wreck you.
Yes.
I already feel it coming. Yeah.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
It'll wreck you.
All right, and we'll switch it up a little bit, and anybody can jump in, whoever has that light bulb turn on, because we've been talking about light bulbs a lot today.
Big Edison guy.
What are some favorite road trip songs that you like to jam out to when you're spending a long day on the road?
So I probably, I don't know, probably fear commitment, but I can't go full on like a specific song. I'm a big podcast listener on the road. But specifically, I have a really fun Pandora station that I have curated for years that I like to listen to, and it's
like your road trip go-to.
Yeah, it's mostly like bluegrass, like Dual Lawson, but I also have another one that's like Tyler Childers. Was the start of it, and then through thumbing up and thumbing down. So like I enjoy more of an Appalachian root of music.
Yeah. You like finding those hidden gems that like curate from your playlist.
Yeah, like Winchester 49.
49 Winchester.
49 Winchester, yeah.
I know Bus Shelton.
So like that's the
Who is going to be headlining at Rhythm and Roots this year?
Them boys have hit it big. They have. They are now on the radar, and I believe they may have even been invited either to go on tour or open for Luke Combs.
nice.
Last year. Yeah, those
They've
boys
really hit it big. Yeah,
those
to our
boys have hit it
listeners,
big.
check out that Rhythm and Roots lineup also.
49 Winchester.
Yep.
I'm a little more diverse, I guess, with my playlist and my music taste.
Yeah.
I can do the Tyler Childers. I also go 70s country, so George Jones, Waylon, Merle, all of those. And then on the other end of the spectrum, in my past life, I was in a deathcore metal band. So
What?
I also have some Thy Art Is Murder in my playlist. I have funk, so Bad Mama Jamma, Carl Carlton, shout out.
Do the kiddos like to jam these with you? Just
They
like,
do, actually.
They?
They're also diverse in their musical taste.
It's always fun sharing our musical delights with
yeah.
the
We
kiddos.
go from deathcore to Southern gospel in the same road trip. So yeah, pretty diverse in my road trip songs.
Awesome. I think we were doing some 90s gangsta rap this morning on
Love
the way
90s.
to school. So
Okay.
90s rap, 90s
yeah.
pop even. I mean, there's some good stuff.
Threw some Mariah Carey in there. And
Ooh-wee, yeah.
I
Got the
teared
boy
up.
bands.
You'll always be my baby. And then she teared up and she's like, Mom, I'm trying to go to school. I can't.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's
had a
not a
moment.
that's not a school bop.
No. So yeah, you both have families.
Yep.
And we're talking about Greeneville. So what are some like family friendly activities you enjoy doing with the kiddos around the area?
Oh gosh. There are tons of just free, cost you nothing, outdoor recreation, trails, tracks, parks.
I was gonna say, from where I live, I can throw a rock to 5 different walking trails. And me and my oldest son, he's 6. We hit them pretty much on a daily basis. Whenever they get home from school, and once I've finished up working, we'll go hit one of the 5 trails that are right next to us. We do have new parks.
That's a blessing to have that right in the backyard.
Hardin Park specifically, they just went through a big revamp. They got a big grant, and so now they have a park that is very similar to the one here in downtown Johnson City.
Yeah.
Next to Founders. So very, very kid-friendly park there at Hardin. They have skate park, basketball courts.
Have y'all been out to any of the like llama farms and done any of
The Lazy Llama?
Yeah.
No, we've not been to the Lazy
I'm
Llama.
so curious about that place.
We documented it for another client, but we've not personally been there. But plenty of walking trails, hiking trails, obviously biking, and then and parks for kids.
There's starting to be more of these retreats and like camps and stuff
Yeah.
pop up though.
Yeah, like Locust Springs.
Yeah, Locust Springs.
We went to Locust Springs for years.
There are truly several that have popped up within like the last 5 years. I've just not been able to check out yet. My kids are, so my oldest is 3, my youngest is 1. So age prohibits us from doing some of those other things, right?
Sure.
It's just not appropriate yet. So.
Sure. So much to explore that I've not even checked out also. The llama place. I know Greeneville recently, or the partnership released the Firefly Festival coming up with the Cherokee National Forest.
Yeah.
And that's a lottery if anyone looks that up.
We also have an indoor adventure
It's in the works.
in the works.
Yep.
Ooh, okay.
Massive
Factory
massive
Connection,
building.
I believe it's
Yep.
called.
Cool.
Massive place.
City Garage Car Museum. I think that's a kind
City
of a cool,
Garage is there.
different
Oh, yeah.
place to check out.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, we have the Iris Festival each year with the car show.
Yeah.
Yep. Sundown on Depot.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Sundown on Depot.
Greeneville has a good handful of festivals, like solid festivals that
pretty
people come
eclectic.
out to, like reoccurring.
Yep, pretty eclectic.
The Irish Festival is very craft heavy.
Yeah,
Irish
So, like-
Festival is probably like your main, like,
it is. It's the main draw.
Oh, yeah. I think they've had 30, I'm going to butcher the age of it, but it's been a staple for several years.
30 years of pastel yellow shirts.
There you go.
and then the Bradco, the bicycling.
The bike.
Yes.
That's within its like first 5 years, I think, right now.
I
right?
think so. I think it started with Elena, I believe. But yeah, that's another thing we didn't talk about too much, but lots
I
of
forgot
biking.
you know Elena.
We just have beautiful back roads.
We do.
Oh, they're
Truly, go get lost.
stunning. It's my
Go
favorite
get lost.
place to go ride on
You'll
the
enjoy
roads.
it. You will not have a better time being lost
Yeah.
Then in Greeneville.
than in our county back roads.
It's a favorite pastime. And I don't know if people from the city know what that's like to just, go get lost, turn on your jams,
probably
and
don't.
just enjoy the scenery.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
the fun thing about being lost whenever we talk about it is I don't ever realize that I'm actually lost because I just enjoy the scenery.
yeah. I mean, It's such a different experience than be bopping around in the city.
Where I
And
do know that I'm
specifically-
lost.
Well, I mean, I know where I'm at geographically.
I mean,
but-
that's a good point. Like,
Yeah.
Well, so here was an eye-opening thing for me. I had grown up on these rural back roads that I'm talking about, right? So it's second nature to me. Not out of the ordinary whatsoever. But there was a person who came from Newark, New Jersey. They came in for work, and we were showing them around, and it started to get dark. Well, they're expecting a bunch of street lamps to pop on.
Tough tootie.
nope.
So they never saw that level of like darkness in
Yeah.
Bring your own
driving.
flashlight.
Yeah.
I was like, but it was so foreign to them, and I was like blown away that was.
We actually have to use our headlights.
Yeah, I mean, it's so.
It's like when I
You
went
get to see
to
stars that way too, though.
Yeah.
the stars. The stars
Have
are
the light pollution.
incredible. I went to visit my best friend in Dallas, and there's like 5-6 lanes of traffic, and I just shut down. I was like, I can't drive anywhere.
Yep.
That's tough. That's tough.
It is.
The city's tough.
Well, and then the other thing too, like some of your roads aren't even 2-lane. Like two lanes.
And some of them aren't marked.
No.
definitely not marked. No
That's
speed limit
again
signs.
something that's so foreign to them. Like
It's
they're
so foreign.
You look over and they're like, clenching on the handles and stuff.
And the curves and the elevation. I mean, things that
so-
we're just like, we're over here chit-chatting with
Yeah.
our family.
There
You're
is-
not like gonna watch this. No.
Yeah.
There is
Just
also
helpful
a
too for
road
like-
that connects Greeneville to Cocke County that literally drops off from asphalt to gravel and dirt. Just stops. They stop paving.
It's probably that county line.
And it is a main road. It's near Hartford.
There you go.
That's great.
So yeah, it's enjoyable.
That's great. Very
Don't get
enjoyable.
lost.
Next up is your favorite piece of media equipment. I'm also curious to hear about this camera if you want to, I don't know.
That's probably is one of my favorite pieces. That's cool that I bought it. Or that I brought
Favorite
it.
piece of media equipment? Oh wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely just say one of my Canon cameras.
Canon.
Yeah, I
Overall.
started with Canon.
He's loyal. He's brand loyal.
I'm pretty loyal to them. They
I'm Nikon, but I'm
they
very
just
curious.
work. They just work.
They do work.
But I started in photography, and then video got big, and so like I learned the skill of video. But like my passion, my heart is still like if you give me a video camera and a photo camera and say which one you want to do today, like I'm picking the photo camera 100 times out of 100. Photography is my thing. So yeah, just anything that you feel comfortable to document with, because that's what I think specifically on like trips and stuff. Your job is to, or at least my job is to document and hopefully enshrine these memories.
So your Canon, that's your.
He's
that's
a
your-
Canon diehard.
Yeah.
I'm more of a dater. I date around with brands. I've owned pretty much every brand except for Sony.
Or Leica.
Yeah, or Leica. But no, this is my favorite piece of media gear. My Fuji X Pro 2.
Yep.
Looks
This
like a
was
film
unplanned.
camera. Yeah, this was totally unplanned. I'd literally bring it with me everywhere I go.
Yep.
This is what I consider like a daily journal. So it
that's
documents
cool.
my activities. It looks like a film camera, but it's not. But I guess I'm the same. Any camera I love. I have the most decrepit cameras you've ever seen in your life in my closet, and I have, obviously the stuff that we have to use for our job. But yeah, any camera just that gives me the ability to document.
I like photo though as a medium.
Yeah,
That
he's
would
photo
definitely be
first. I think I took a liking to video first, and then honed the photo side later.
I just like the thought provoking that has to take place for someone to appreciate a photo.
Yeah.
Like if you see a photo, every photo tells a story. Like that's a cliche, you hear that, but like no, truly,
Yeah.
every photo tells a story.
The
And if you-
imagination behind
yeah, you start to think like, was it hot that? Like you start to think about all these variables, and because that moment is frozen.
Yes.
So then you've got to piece the rest of it together in your mind and through
Yep.
the story and whatnot. So definitely photo for sure.
Well, thanks y'all so much for coming on and for sharing your stories.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's been
Having us.
wonderful.
Different being a guest. I mean, I'm still
It's cool that I didn't have to set
You're a
all of
great
it up.
guest.
absolutely. That is also a blessing for sure.
I kind of like this side of things.
Yeah, we should do this more often.
Where can our listeners and folks learn more about motion creative media, and if you want to share about the Faith and Frames podcast?
Go ahead.
Also, Motion Creative Media is simply motioncreative.media
Yeah.
on the internet. That's our main website. You can follow us on Facebook. You can follow us on Instagram.
Yep.
And as far as Faith and Frames goes, that is a Motion Creative product. So we have all of the links for Faith and Frames on the main website.
Yep.
You'll find all the content for Faith in Frames on our Facebook and Instagram. So that's going to be your main sources. And
Also available on all podcast listeners.
on all podcast listening platforms with Faith in Frames. But yeah, motioncreative.media.
Yep.
It's the main hub.
Great. Again, Jared and Garrett, thanks for being here.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate
Thank
all
you,
y'all
Allie.
do for the community.
Thank you.
And to our listeners, for upcoming events and happenings in Northeast Tennessee, be sure to follow us on all the socials and check out our website at northeasttennessee.org, where there is more up here to do, see, and be when you meet me in Tennessee. Thanks for tuning in.